So welcome everyone to the Tory Burch Foundation Small Business Webinar Series. My name is Sahara Lake and I am the Programs Manager here at the Foundation. I'm so excited to see some familiar faces. I know we've been doing this series for a while, so it's great to have our regulars joining us. And for those who are joining us for the first time, welcome as well. Looking forward to today's session. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, Campaign Monitor, which is a global technology company that is focused on email marketing. They've helped make this series possible, and we are truly thankful for their support. Our speaker today is Petia Abdur-Razak. She is a Grow with Google partner trainer, providing digital skills and training and coaching to help small businesses. Grow with Google in general provides free training, tools, and resources to help you grow your skills, careers, or business. Petia herself is also an entrepreneur. She is the founder and director of digital strategies for the Stylista Group, where she has helped shape and accelerate the marketing needs of a variety of small businesses, corporations, and nonprofits alike. She is an expert in creative marketing, right at that intersection between digital marketing and online strategic campaigns. And so we're excited to have Petia here today, specifically to give us some insight into how search really works and how to improve your visibility for your website using things like Google My Business, Google Ads, Google Trends, and other strategies as well. So I see a lot of you are already using our chat function, which is great. Please sure to use the Q&A function during Petia's presentation. We'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. But without that, Petia, I'm going to turn it over to you to get us started.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about today's presentation. So let me get started by sharing my screen, and also let me double check that my sound is being shared because this presentation actually has 2 mini videos. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I was looking at the chat and I see that we have people from all over the US and even outside of the US, which is really, really, really exciting. All right, so today we're going to learn how customers actually find your business online. So the mechanics that happens behind a Google search. All right. So we're going to explore together exactly how search works. And I'm going to touch on 3 ways that your business can surface when someone goes to that search bar and types keywords that are related to your product or service. And then at the end, if we have some time, I'll also share some additional free digital resources that you can access to continue your learning. If we don't get a chance to do that because we're having an amazing time in the Q&A session, don't worry, I will be sending the full version. Today's presentation is a shortened version. I will be sending the full version of the presentation to Tory Burch so that you guys will have the full version at your disposal as a follow-up. Please, if you're going to be tweeting or posting anywhere on social media about today's presentation, please give a shout out to the Grow with Google program, and the hashtag is simply Grow with Google. So let's get started. This is my contact information. If you have any questions after the presentation that we didn't get to, please feel free to send me an email. It may take me a while, but I will respond to you. LinkedIn is even a better place to get my attention. All right, so let's take a moment and think about how you as a customer, right? So we're taking off our business owner hat right now. How you as a customer, how you operate when you go to Google to find something, right? I'll bet that many of us start our research process these days online. And you usually start by typing a keyword or a phrase or maybe even a question, right? If you're looking for specific products, what do? We compare prices, we read reviews, and we do other types of research on Google, right? And given the situation of the past 12 months, I bet that we've been doing a whole lot more online research than we would have before. So here's a personal example that I usually like to share to kind of impress upon the people who attend these workshops how important it is for your business, even if it's a tiny business, even if you're a corporation of Me Inc., to have a robust presence on Google because people are constantly searching for information. So meet my 6-year-old daughter, Soleil. Those of you who have little ones know that the week of March 2nd every year is Read Across America Week. And if you have children around Soleil's age, teachers usually ask you to come in and do reading with the kids. At her school, they come up with interesting themes for each day of the week to make it interesting for the kids and engaging. And so Soleil and I decided that I would come in on Wednesday, which they called Wacky Wednesday, and read a wacky book to her class. However, we decided on Fox and Socks by Dr. Seuss. However, on Tuesday afternoon when I picked her up, she told me, Mom, you can't read Fox and Socks anymore because somebody else's parent came in for Tuesday and they read that book. And so now we need to find a new book. I was like, oh my God, what I'm going to do? I don't think we have any more wacky books at home in the library. Thankfully, I had chosen the 2:30 reading slot the following day. So I had some time in the morning to figure out, get a new book or something. So the following day, after leaving my business bag, this was about noonish, took out my phone and did a quick search on Google for children's bookstore near me. Much to my delight, there was a children's bookstore close to my business bank. I had been going to this bank for 5 years, you guys, and I never knew this, right? But in that moment of need, I was able to do simple search children's bookstore near me, and I was able to find this bookstore and pick up the book that I needed, a new book that I needed, so that I could have a book for Wacky Wednesday. And so all is well that ended well with a combination of rainbow hair, mismatched sneakers, and a reading of There Is a Bird on Your Head. Wacky Wednesday for us ended up being a resounding success. And I know that all of you can relate to having moments like that or being in situations where you absolutely needed to find a solution to a problem and you went to Google and you discovered a business or a service or a product that you had no idea existed. So putting our small business owner hats back on, what does all of this mean for your particular business? What it means is that your website is now the new front door of your business because it is the first interaction that a potential customer will most likely have with your business. And in fact, your online presence may be the only place that your customers can connect with you at times. And we literally just lived through a year and a half of that, right? So according to Google data from February of this year, searches for local businesses have grown by more than 80% year over year, including searches for local businesses near me. So remember the search that I did? Children's bookstore near me. And we're continuing to see consumer behavior evolve. So 61% of consumers think that buying online and picking up in store or curbside is actually a more beneficial way to shop. And I think that we can all relate to that. So today we'll discuss different ways you can connect with customers online, especially those looking specifically for businesses like yours. So let's start by watching a short video that explores some of the ways that customers connected with local businesses, especially over the last year, and how they may be looking to continue to do so going forward. All right, so this is our first movie video.
This past year had many challenges. People have learned new things, like how to make any situation work,
I'm sure you're ready for this.
how to keep going through tough times, and how to stay in touch while far away. Now, the small businesses they love are ready to welcome them back. It's time to find great places to gather and celebrate.
Oh my God.
To refresh and renew. See each other in person again. and explore new connections.
Coffee shops near me.
Now that your doors are reopening,
Hi, good afternoon. How are you? This is the part that you tried to cut? Okay.
people are looking for places in their neighborhoods and communities where they can enjoy special moments together again. They're hoping to discover new favorite spots so they can create new memories with people they love.
How are you? Good. Nice to finally see you in person.
So when they're searching for you, and you, and you, be there with a little help from Google.
Okay, so hopefully all of you on the call today could have related to having some sort of experience like that, right? All right, so here's the official agenda for today's session. I'll start by showing you how Google search works and 3 ways that your business can appear on the search results page, which would be via search engine optimization, a business profile, and of course, online advertising. So let's start by taking a deep dive into how Google search works, so you get a clear understanding of how your business website can show up in search results. Imagine a library with billions and billions of books constantly growing, but there's no card catalog to help you find anything. And you're not just searching for a book, you need to find specific information inside the book's pages. That's kind of what the web is like. When you think of it that way, finding what you need seems what? Impossible. But that's where search engines like Google come in. When a person searches on Google, they may start off by typing a word or a phrase, or maybe even asking a question. And this is called a search query. Google helps people find information on the web by sorting through those billions of web pages and showing people where to find the answers they're looking for. Basically, search is a big piece of software that takes the query you type into that search box and looks for the best answers across the web. So the illustration we're sharing today represents an example of a Google search results page. And it's important to note that the content and layout of this page would be a little different if you were viewing this page on your mobile device. Today's workshop focuses on 3 typical ways your business can appear in the organic or the center well of the page on Google. And these results that show up here are free. These results surface based solely on the strength of a website's content and how good the search engine optimization of that content is. We'll also move on to talk about the business profile, and then lastly, of course, advertising. So,
Katia, I just wanted to say that your video is off before you continued on.
yeah, I left it. I left it off on purpose for bandwidth issues, but I can turn it on if you
Oh,
like.
no, whatever is going to make
I
it
figured
more
that
clear.
the presentation is more important, but I'll be back during Q&A so that we can have an actual conversation.
Perfect. Love that.
Well, of course, it's more complicated than that. There's a lot happening behind the scenes, right? First, Google makes its own copy of the entire web, scans it, and then creates a catalog of all of the content. So it's like the index of a book, except if you can imagine 10 trillion times longer. So if a potential customer searches for the phrase yoga pants, what Google does is Google identifies all the relevant results, then puts them in order of what Google determines would be the most useful results for the searcher. To do this, Google considers over 200 signals, but some of the key signals include where the searcher is located, especially if that search term includes business near me or hotel near me. So where the searcher is located, whether the page has been updated recently or not, and how many other credible pages link back to that page. And all of this happens in less than 1 second, billions of times every single day. Now that you understand a little bit more about the massive scope of what's going on behind the scenes and how Google actually works to index all of this information, we can move on to talking about how you can use this understanding to get your business to show up when people search for what you have to offer. So the first way that your business might show up is to appear in what we call the organic or natural results down the center well of the search page. Now, Google builds these pages of results for every single search to deliver the most relevant results for that particular searcher. So for example, the search results might look very different for people searching in Canada, or if I was searching for my home in Harlem, or anyone that was searching, say, in Tennessee. So here you can see how the website for Trade Street Jam can appear in Google's organic results. So how does Google decide which are the best websites to show and in what order? Like I said, this is determined by more than 200 signals that Google considers, and organic search results are very different from paid search advertising. And so the paid search advertising usually have that ad label next to it. Those are the results that companies bid on so that they appear above the organic results. So while you cannot buy better organic search ranking, you can put some effort into optimizing your website to improve its visibility on Google and other search engines. And that's what we call SEO, or search engine optimization. So SEO warrants its entire presentation all alone. We don't have time for that today. So I'll just give you guys some quick tips. SEO is important when it comes to managing a website for your product, service, or brand. So what you need to figure out are what are the key terms that other people are using, right, when they are searching for similar products or services like the ones that you offer, okay? So you need to get an understanding for the ranking in search results for particular keywords, topics, questions, and phrases that will help you to connect with your ideal customer. So people who are just getting started with SEO have a tendency to think that it's very complicated, and it can become complicated and technical, but here are some very simple things that you can do to put you on the right track. For starters, focus on publishing quality content regularly on your website. The content on your website should be useful and accurate. And while there's no rule of thumb, the more frequently you update your website, the more likely it will be to appear in search engine results. Remember, when you're writing your content, to include keywords that your potential customers may be using to find similar products and services. Organize your website logically into clearly labeled areas. And when people land on your website, they should be able to move from one section to the next without having to go through too many motions, right? Too many clicks. Every web page should include a title and description as part of the code. And the good news is that if your website was built using a content management system like WordPress or Wix or Shopify, all of these systems come with the option to add this descriptive meta text to the headers of each of your pages. If you're stuck in what relevant, unique, useful content can be, there's a free tool that can assist you with this. The tool is called Google Trends. Google Trends can help you research content strategies and refine your marketing messages for your website. What the tool does is it shows the relative popularity of different keywords that are actively being searched on Google over time. The data is presented in a graph on a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 representing the peak search volume. If it has enough data, trends can also show a forecast of search volume related to popular searches as well as rising searches. And your rising searches would be those searches that are experiencing significant growth. You can also do cool things like use it to compare the popularity of different words and phrases, determine seasonality of different searches, and see where your searches are happening geographically. Right? So this is a really cool way that you can use Google Trends. It's a free tool. And to access Google Trends, you would go to g.co/trends. Right. So the example that we're looking at shows the difference in search terms geographically between two states, East Coast and West Coast. So this company that sells bubble tea, using Google Trends, they learned that on the West Coast, more people search for the word bubba. And on the East Coast, more people search for the term bubble tea. Now, that kind of information can be incredibly useful when you're developing a content strategy for your website and also your targeted ad campaigns. Okay, moving on to the second way that your business can show up in the search results, and that would be by creating or claiming your free business profile on Google Search and Maps. Now, when we did that search in the last section, we were concentrating on organic search, right? The center well of the page. Now, let's talk about what you may see appear on the right side of the results page, and that is what usually shows up if a business has created or claimed a business profile. Now, if you don't have a business profile, you can create one at no charge by visiting google.com/business. A business profile helps local businesses to be found and manage their critical information on Google Search and Maps. And why is the map part important? Because more and more customers are doing searches for businesses near where they're located geographically. So think of the business profile as sort of the digital front window for your business, because it allows you to showcase valuable current information that will help customers plan their visit to your location, such as things, of course, like your hours of service. Once you create and claim your business profile, and that process is called verification, you are able to manage your information as it appears across Google Search and Maps. And within your admin dashboard, you will be able to do things like update your location if you move, your phone number, your website, your hours of operation. This was extremely important, especially last year when businesses had limited hours of availability, or maybe they could not be open at all. So this is one thing that we need to remember. A business profile can only be created for businesses that either have a physical location that customers can visit, or if that business owner, say for example, like a consultant like myself, usually travels to visit customers within a specific geographical location. The general rule is that a business must make in-person contact with customers during stated business hours. So if you have a strictly online business where you never make that in-person contact, you will not qualify for a business profile. If you do qualify, however, you want to make the most of, maximize the potential of it. So you can do things like, of course, do special updates related to COVID-19. Unfortunately, that was a necessary update that needed to be made last year. And you should absolutely regularly update your business profile with photos of your products, your storefront, the interior of your business, or whatever best showcases what you have to order. Now, depending on the kind of business that you have, you may see some additional features in your account, like options for your customers to make online bookings, product spotlights, and also special services. And Google determines which accounts have access to specific options based on the category of business that you say that you have when you do the setup. All right. So now that we've covered SEO and your business profile, we'll move on to talk about the third way that your business can show up on Google, and that would be with online advertising. So before we get into the overview of all that, let's watch our second and last mini video about Trade Street Jam, a small business that has used Google Ads to grow and thrive. So here goes.
Everybody likes jam. Who doesn't like jam? Seriously, I dream about flavors. Trade Street Jam Company makes low sugar vegan jams for pretty much everything under the sun. Honey, do you know how many things you can do with this jam? You can make cocktails, you can put on roasted meats or veggies, oatmeal. The uses are endless. I've been a chef for about 15 years. I needed something fun to do after work. I'm not a big TV watcher. I would stop at this store on the way home, grab a bunch of fruit, anything weird and exotic that they had, and I start cooking. I start jamming. Too much? You don't like the puns?
Do you like the bananas, honey? Yeah.
My husband is my test dummy, I guess you can say.
You want some more?
You like mommy's cooking?
When I started Trade Street, I was selling on another e-commerce platform, and we were also selling a lot of jam in person. But COVID hit and all the markets shut down, which freaked me out. I'm already scared about being a new mommy. And then on top of that, I'm worried about the life of my business. People started ordering specialty food online, so we immediately had to pivot and focus all of my efforts on selling online. When people go on Google and they search jam or jelly, I want them to be able to find my brand. With Google Ads, they can type those things in and I pop up. You guys, that's huge. We went from making 2,000 jars every 2 months to making 2,000 jars every 2 weeks. Our sales increased by 1,000%. It was crazy. I've hired 4 or 5 different contractors. Hiring feels amazing. I think it's so important for our product to have a story behind it. I think when people see a woman behind the brand, a person of color, it just really adds something to that jar other than jam.
Oh, you kiss mommy. You kissing mommy.
I want Zola to be able to grow up and look at me and say, my mom did that. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Okay, you guys. So hopefully that gave you a really great introduction, an overview as to the value of using targeted Google advertising to place your product or service directly in front of your ideal customer. So advertising on Google is called pay-per-click advertising. In other words, you only pay when people do what? Take action, like clicking your ad or calling your business. Now, these ads, if they're set up correctly, reach people who are actively searching for products and services that you offer, which helps you as a business owner to connect with likely customers. Now, there are a series of options in terms of where these ads can appear. So your ads can appear on websites outside of Google that are part of Google's display network. And the display network are millions of partner sites that have agreements with Google to showcase their ad campaigns. So these ads are useful because they also hit potential customers at different stages of the buying cycle. Not just when they're searching for things specifically related to their business, but also when they're browsing related content or doing things like watching videos on YouTube. Now, depending on the goals that you set when you set up your campaign, the Google Ads system will automatically determine where to show your ads to give you the best chance for success. So, there are two types of Google Ad campaigns. There's smart campaigns, and smart campaigns are designed specifically for small business owners and new advertisers. Okay, so for the purpose of today's presentation, I'm just going to review smart campaigns because the other type of campaigns that are available are most suited to marketers, right? Or people who have a lot of experience. There's some business owners who run their own really in-depth ad campaigns, but smart campaigns are easy to set up and it helps you to understand how Google works. So smart campaigns are flexible. They allow you to choose your goal and customize your content, and you're able to work within your own budget. There's no contract or fees to get started, and you have total control over where your ads can show and how much money you spend. Your ads can do whatever you want them to do, such as bringing visitors to your website, but they can also do things like drive phone calls and store visits. The great thing is that smart campaigns can be set up in just a few short steps, and we're going to review them quickly today. To get started with Google Ads, you need to visit ads.google.com. And if you already have a Google Ads account, you just need to sign in. If you do not, then you will have to create one by just going to the website and hitting starting now and creating an account. So this quick checklist will help you to launch a successful smart campaign. The first thing you need to do is decide what your goal is for that particular campaign. Next, you would need to add the information about your business so that your customers can recognize you when they see an ad and learn what your business does. Identify where you want the visitor to land on your site after they've clicked your ad. Here's a pro tip. Chances are sending your visitors directly to your homepage may not be such a great idea unless the conversion mechanism that you're hoping for, whether it's a sale or a sign up for a newsletter, lives on your homepage. Most times, especially if you have an e-commerce sort of situation, it's on a different page. So make sure that you're paying for clicks that will actually have a good chance of converting. And then, of course, also choosing keyword themes and locations where you want your ads to appear. You're also able to set a daily budget, and remember that you only pay when someone interacts with your ads. So let's take a quick look of how this works. So with smart campaigns, you start with a goal, and a goal represents the main activity that you want the potential customer to see after they see your ad. Now, you likely have multiple goals, and in Google Ads, you can create multiple campaigns, but let's focus on one for the sake of this quick walkthrough. So these are the options. You can choose to get more calls, get more website sales or signups, or get more visits to your physical location. So of course, you would need to decide what the goal of your campaign is. Now, when setting up a new smart campaign, you have the option to link it to your business profile. So this is another reason why having a business profile may make sense. And we just went through that really quickly earlier. If you select that option, you can choose whether to send ad clicks to your website or to your business profile. Now, when you link your business profile and smart campaigns, your ads will also show your business address, in addition to linking to the profile, as well as your position on the map and driving directions to your business. So definitely, if your goal is to have in-person visits, this may make sense for you. Next, of course, you will enter your business name as you want it to appear on the ad. And of course, you will choose where you want to direct the potential customer to once they click. All right. Remember that you want to send the traffic to the specific page on your website or the specific landing page where they are most likely to convert. You don't want to send them to the home page and then they have to go clicking around to find what you want them to do. The system will show you where the ad clicks lead to, so you will be able to preview what people will see when they get there. You'll have the option to see what the ad or the landing page will look like on a mobile device, a desktop, or a laptop. And we know that most people these days are doing searches on what? Mobile devices. Now, this is a great way to preview what a new customer will see and what the first impression of your business will look like. Okay. The next step, of course, would be to write your ad. Before you write your ad, think about these 3 questions. What are you offering? What do you want your ad to accomplish? Who are the customers or the intended audience for this ad? And copy is very important, right? So you want to make sure that you write genuine, compelling ads that will connect with your audience. So you will have 3 headlines, each 30 characters max, and 2 description lines that you can use to describe the product or service that you're promoting. Now, your headlines are the first thing that people will see and play a huge factor in how well your ads perform. One headline could be your company name, and other headlines might highlight the product or service that you're promoting. Example, handcrafted vegan jam. The description can offer more details or context, like what makes your jam different, or to describe a special that you're running. Now, once you've written your ad, you'll need to choose keyword themes. Now, keyword themes are words or phrases that help match your ads with Google searches. A single keyword theme represents multiple similar words and phrases. For instance, the keyword theme jam makes your ad eligible to show when people search for fruit jam or vegan jelly or buy jam. After your ad is active, you can review your campaign search terms and turn them on and off if they aren't relevant for your business. Remember, you're in control of when your ads show. So to use this example of jam, we're going to keep it simple. If you're selling artisan jam, think about the words and phrases your potential customers might be using when they're searching for similar products like yours. Now, you can draw inspiration from the product or service categories from your own website, or do a little bit of competitive research to see what similar businesses like yours, key terms that they're using. After your ad is active, you can review your campaign search terms and, of course, continue to fine-tune them until you get the results that you're looking for. Next, you need to choose where your ads will appear. You can set a radius around an address or pick a specific zip code, city, or region. This is really important if you have a brick and mortar location, of course. And you might also select advertise near an address and set a radius around your business. If you ship your products, a great feature is that you can choose to advertise in specific zip codes, cities, or regions. Remember to select the geographical areas that make the most sense for your business. Okay, last step here, and the step that people usually worry the most about, budget. With smart campaigns, you are able to set a maximum monthly budget. You'll be presented with a few options, or you can create your own. And you can do this by setting an average daily budget. That budget will be multiplied by 30.4, which is the average number of days in the month, to come up with your maximum monthly budget, right? So the daily budget will be multiplied by 30.4, and that's your monthly budget. The average daily budget is the average amount you could spend each day. The actual amount will vary depending on how popular the ad is each day. But the most important thing to note here is that you will never spend over the allocated monthly budget. So you definitely have control over all of Okay, so before setting your campaign live, you'll of course have the chance to review it and make any necessary changes that you want or need, and then voila, you will hit launch. Okay, quick recap before we move on to Q&A. We have covered a lot in this short period of time, right? So to recap, today we looked at 3 ways you can appear on Google. They were organic results, and the way that you appear in organic results is through employing SEO techniques, and we went over some really basic ones, by having a business profile on Google and with Google Ads. All right, so this is what we reviewed. And we also discussed Google Trends. I didn't cover Test My Site and Search Console in today's presentation. However, when you guys get the follow-up materials, there will be information about those 2 additional tools. Some quick resources that you can access on your own time to get more information. And again, there'll be more details on this in the follow-up. Okay, so let's move on to what we've all been waiting for, which is the Q&A.
Katia, thank you so much. That was so informative. You're getting a lot of people in the chat saying this has been really clear, concise, to the point, and one of the best webinars they attended. So thank you so much. This was really
that's
clear.
amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Tell them that for me.
I will. But a few questions coming in here on the Q&A, and we got a few questions beforehand as well. I think one of the biggest questions I've seen is around the business profile for those business owners who are online only or have more of a SaaS business that's not like a local business with a product. Do you recommend that they use a Google business profile, or is there something else that would better suit them?
Chances are, so Google asks you some very specific questions when you're setting up the profile to begin with. And if they determine that your business, that you are not making in-person contact with your clients, they will deny you anyway. So it's not even a choice. And they're very strict about that. You must make in-person contact at some point or the other.
Okay.
That's the rule.
That makes sense, because someone else asked a question around running a business around privacy. So I guess this isn't even a relevant
No, that is a great question, and I can always bet I'll get that question.
Yeah.
So for instance, you're a consultant, right? And you work from your home.
Yes, that's exactly what Amy's question is.
Right.
Yeah.
You do meet with your clients, say at coffee shops or whatever.
Right.
Google will allow you to use your home address, and there's a little box, right, that you will have to check saying that you need to keep your address private, okay, but that you do conduct business within that specific geographical area. And Google knows, so based on, so I'm a marketing consultant, and so that could pretty much be my situation as well, right?
Right.
I work from my home office, but I do meet with my clients. So based on the criteria that you set up with the business profile, they're able to tell that, okay, fine, of course, this person doesn't want their home address to be published to everyone,
Right.
but yes, they will be interacting and meeting with clients in a specific geographical area. So you just have to remember that if that is your situation, just check that box. It says keep my address private, and that is how that would happen.
Yeah, that's a great question. Another question here from Lisa is asking, how important are reviews on Google for your company?
Extremely important.
Yeah.
Extremely important. The strength of your reviews, they all, you know, the various assets of your profile, your website, there, you know, 200 factors that I spoke about that Google looks for. Reviews is definitely one of the key things that can help your profile to surface higher in that organic results. So yes, if you have raving customers, please ask them to shout you out in Google and give you some reviews. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. And kind of back to the business profile, which we're understanding what businesses it works for and what businesses it doesn't. But do you need a business profile if you want to run Google ads or no?
You don't have to. You don't have to. Because clearly some businesses don't qualify, so, but they can still run ads, right? So you don't have to.
I think that's a great question. I love this question from Anna. What are some repeated mistakes you see people making with SEO?
So I would say, you know, you say make sure that your content has keywords, right?
Right.
And so you have to use the keywords, but use them in a way that it's not obvious that your copy is just loaded with keywords. Like you could pick the keywords out, but the copy doesn't flow, it doesn't sound natural. So you have to make sure that you use them in a way where they're working for you, but the content of your website is still engaging, it's still useful, and it's not obvious that you're just keyword stuffing.
Yeah.
Because then, it's kind of like, your customers will not connect with what you're trying to say. And also, you have to really make the effort to make sure that you're constantly updating your website. So you may have built a brand new website and had somebody get your SEO started. SEO is an ongoing, it's ongoing. You have to keep doing it
Keep up with
every
it.
month, even if it's every quarter, so that you continue to surface. Because things are constantly changing. You're going to have new competition. There are going to be new keywords that are going to be used. So you have to keep on top of it. It's not a one and done sort of situation. It has to be an ongoing effort.
Yeah, that's great advice. What about for folks who have products in particular markets that tend to get buried in the use when they have like general use products? So for example, if someone has a wig company, right? But it's specifically for kids and specifically for a certain demographic. And so they want to come up in that search, but they're having a tough time with that. What is some advice or guidance you may have?
So that would not be a smart campaign sort of thing. That would be
Yeah.
the more in-depth campaign. And at that point, you really need to work with a search engine marketing expert who can help you to craft your ads in a way that will help them be positioned in front of that specific customer, right? Because for example, if it's wigs for children, then you don't want that really surfacing in a general wig search, right? You'll be wasting your time. So you would have to work with a professional who can really help you to hone in, to understand what needs to be done and honing so that your ads are being positioned in front of your ideal target audience.
Yeah, and is that a resource that Google provides, or this is something that's an additional expense? Yeah.
Invest in. I don't like, I don't like using the word expense with marketing. Marketing is an investment in your business. So yes, you do have to come out of pocket.
Right.
If it's done correctly, you get it back over time. So let's say investment.
So it's an investment. I like that. That's a good correction. It is an investment to make to hire a professional like that. That makes sense. I know, especially, so I work with a lot of our fellows in the Tory Burch program, and a lot of people have Shopify accounts. And so I'm sure there's some folks on this webinar as well. And so curious, do you have any tips for optimizing discoverability with e-commerce websites built on the Shopify platform?
I have to tell you guys, everybody that's using Shopify, great choice, because Shopify integrates with just about everything, including Google. Most importantly,
great.
One tip that a lot of people may miss is that if you have a Shopify account, you should absolutely also have what's called a Google Merchant Center account. Shopify is one of the platforms that integrates seamlessly with Google Merchant Center, and an integration with Google Merchant Center allows your products to show up in the shopping tab on Google. A lot of people don't pay attention to that tab, but there's a specific tab called the shopping tab, right? And through that integration, you could also run special shopping ads. So to set up Google Merchant Center, there's no cost for that. The only thing you pay for on Google with all of these tools is once you start advertising. And I usually recommend that you maximize the possibilities of all of the other free tools that exist, right? Because if you're using them correctly, you begin to enjoy the benefits and then move up to spending the ad dollars. So everybody on this call that has a Shopify account that's selling products, right? Make sure that you also have activated your Google Merchant Center account, and you make that connection so that your products are able to surface in the shopping tab on Google.
That makes sense. And a few questions around cost. So just to clarify, the cost associated, with getting your business set up on Google, it seems to be relatively free.
It is free.
And
I'm glad you bring that up.
Yes.
A lot of companies out here making calls to people charging $500 to set up business profiles. I think that's why that person asked. Every time I do this presentation, I get this question.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and people misunderstand that because they're assuming that Google is charging $500 to set up a business profile. Google doesn't charge you anything. All that it takes for you to set up a business profile is your time and understanding of the steps, which I went through very briefly, of how you can do it. But the companies calling saying, oh, this is Google, let me set up your business profile, it's $500. Don't fall for that. Unless you really want to, unless you don't have the time and you want to pay them, fine. But also what I'm hearing is that a lot of times people have paid that fee and they still don't have a business profile. So word of caution, just be careful with that.
Yeah.
Getting your business set up on Google, specifically the business profile or even the merchant center, costs you nothing but your time.
Yes, but your time. Another question around discoverability. Will using hashtags in my website, on my website, help my business get found on
I
Google?
am not a fan of using hashtags on websites. Hashtags are a social media mechanism.
Right, not website.
Hashtags on websites don't work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think other things around website traffic. So does adding a video to your Google listing help your business? And if so, how?
Absolutely. Our consumption of video is growing exponentially. So adding video everywhere and describing the video and using keywords in the descriptions, all of that stuff can only help you.
Yeah.
So create a branded YouTube channel, first of all, house all of the videos on the branded YouTube channel, and then just share those videos everywhere possible.
No, that's really good guidance. And what about, people often ask around time of day or day of the week to, kind of generate traffic. I know that's more for social media, but does that impact your website traffic at all?
Excuse me. You should be using Google Analytics to monitor the traffic flow of your website so you can understand your customer journeys and when people are the most active. And with that information, what I would recommend is that you use that information definitely when you're going to start doing advertising, because you want to make sure that your ads are coinciding with the natural activity or busyness of your audience for whatever reason. In terms of, just having the website, it's, you're not really posting. Social media is more like that, right? Like when your social audience is really active, that's when you post during those times. But in terms of the website, you would have to have Google Analytics installed to actually understand, the traffic ebbs and flows. And then when that becomes the most important, maybe doing things like maybe flash sales or that sort of thing to coincide with the activity, but it's not really like a posting type of day thing for a website.
Right. Dana's question here is, how long should you run an ad campaign to see success? What is the kind of tool on Google you can use to help you determine that?
Okay, so if you're not measuring, you're not marketing, right? I wish I can tell you the best time length of especially when you're starting campaign should be a month or 3 weeks or whatever. Every business is different. Every industry is different. A lot of small business owners give up after the first week or month or whatever. That's not the way it works. You should be testing your campaigns at least 3 to 6 months to really understand what's happening, how the audience is responding, what kinds of campaigns are giving you the results you're looking for. And once you start spending money on these campaigns, it's time to ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't try to do it yourself. You're just when you try to do it yourself and you don't really understand what's happening, the term I use, investment, becomes an expense, because what's going to happen is that you're just going to waste your money. So I would say that would be the time definitely where you should ask for guidance in understanding the reports, what the reports mean, what the recommendations. Google always recommends what you should do differently. If you don't really understand what's being suggested, at that point, ask for help. And over time, I would say 3 to 6 months, you have to learn exactly what's going on. This is not an overnight success thing, which is a mistake that I think that a lot of small business owners use. You can't just give up, right? You have to take the information, even if the initial information is a little discouraging and not necessarily what you're looking for, then the message there is, we can't do it this way. We have to try something else.
And I love the video you shared of the jam company. I'm curious, do you have any more success stories that you can share around like the long-term effects that using
We have
Google Ads?
lots of them. And
Yeah,
what
do
I
you have a
like
favorite?
Yes, actually, the one, and it's shown in another presentation. I think it's to grow your business online. There is a woman-owned laundromat in Brooklyn called Celsius. I don't know if any of you know Celsius.
I'm familiar. I've heard of them before. Yeah.
Right. And this wasn't even necessarily advertising. This was just pivoting the information available on their business profile. And what they did is they created special hours for essential workers to drop off their clothes during the pandemic, right? So that they can help them get to work. Most of them wear uniforms, right? And so they were able to like really support them. And all they did was update their business profile saying we have, special hours, and, their business flourished during the pandemic because of that, right? Yeah. So you really need to understand the tools, the possibilities of the tools, and then relate it back to how you can use them for your specific business, right? Because everybody's business is different, right? So you have to kind of think about what's different, what's unique about your business, and how you can use these tools to showcase the uniqueness or the difference to your target audience.
Yeah, that's great. So we're coming up on our 2 minutes to the end. So from our last question, Bettia, what is one thing the audience should take away from today? If they can only remember one thing, what is the one thing you want them to remember?
Having a robust presence online is no longer an option. If you want to remain in business, you have to establish a robust presence. This is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's no longer a choice.
Yeah, and I loved what you said to start, that your website is the front door of your business, regardless of if you're in person or just online. So I think that is really good guidance.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bettia, thank you so much. We're really grateful to have you share this information with our community in such a clear and concise manner. And thank you all for joining and for your amazing questions and amazing participation as well. So we'll send a survey later this afternoon. Please take a minute to fill that out. And we will also be sharing the slides and the recording of this conversation as well. And as Bettia said at the beginning, the slides are even more robust than the presentation.
A lot more information.
There's a lot more information.
And so you guys will have it. Right.
Yes, which we really appreciate. So if your question wasn't answered today, please make sure you watch this again and look at the full slide deck. And please take the time to do that, because this was really helpful and informative.